Hello everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short Story 706, The Last Message on the Payphone, Upper Beginner. It was a rainy Wednesday afternoon in November 12, 2025, when Mrs. Ellis found the note. She was walking home from the bakery, her shopping bag heavy with bread and cheese, when she saw it, a small folded piece of paper stuck under the glass cover of the old payphone on the corner of Maple and Fifth. No one used payphones anymore, not since everyone had phones in their pockets, but this one still stood, rusty, silent, and strangely untouched. The note was written in blue ink. The handwriting was neat but hurried. If you're reading this, I didn't disappear. I was taken. The answer is in the third coin. Don't tell anyone. L. Mrs. Ellis didn't know who L was. She lived alone. She didn't know many people, but she remembered the payphone. 5 years ago, every Thursday at 4:15 p.m., a man in a grey coat used to call from it. He always paid with coins. Always 3. Always the same 3, a 10p, a 50p, and a pound. She never spoke to him, but she watched. Now she looked at the payphone. The glass cover was cracked. Inside, a single coin lay on the metal tray. Not 3, just 1. A £1 coin. Mrs. Ellis' hands shook. She opened the coin slot. Inside, behind the coin, was a tiny envelope, so small she almost missed it. Inside the envelope, a photo. It showed a man sitting on a bench, smiling. He was holding a newspaper. The date on the paper, October 28, 2020. The man was Mr. Linley, the quiet man from the payphone. Mr. Linley had been reported missing in 2020. The police said he left his house. No note, no clues. But Mr. Linley had been reported missing. Mrs. Ellis looked again at the photo, the newspaper in his hand. At the headline read, "Local man vanishes after payphone call." She remembered now. That day she had seen him. He had put in 3 coins, then he had whispered into the phone just one word, "Now." She had thought he was talking to himself. Now she understood. She went to the police station the next morning. She showed them the note, the photo, the coin. The officer sighed. "Mrs. Ellis, we looked at this payphone 5 years ago. We checked every coin. There was nothing. But there's one now," she said, "the third coin." The officer frowned. "The third coin? What does that mean?" Mrs. Ellis took a deep breath. Every Thursday he used 3 coins, always the same order. 10p, 50p, £1. The £1 was always last, the third coin. The officer opened the coin tray. Inside, the £1 coin was still there. He picked it up. On the edge of the coin, barely visible, were tiny engraved letters. L, D, 10, 28, 20. LD, whispered the officer. Linley David. Then he turned the coin over. On the back, scratched lightly into the metal, were 2 words. "I'm safe." Mrs. Ellis smiled. The payphone had been a signal. The coins were a code. The third coin meant, "I'm still alive. I'm not gone. I'm safe." The man had planned it. He knew someone would notice. He knew someone would remember. He had left his message for her. And now it was found. The police searched the area again. 2 days later, they found a hidden locker in a bus station. Inside, clothes and a passport and a letter. "Dear whoever finds this, I had to disappear. I saw something I shouldn't have. But I'm alive. I'm far away. I left the coins so somebody like Mrs. Ellis, someone who watches, would know. Thank you for remembering me. L." Mrs. Ellis never saw him again. But every Thursday at 4:15 p.m. she walks to the payphone, and she leaves a new coin. Just one. The third one. and waits, just in case. Vocabulary notes. Payphone, meaning a public telephone that you use by putting coins or a card into it. Example, she saw it, a small folded piece of paper stuck under the glass cover of the old payphone on the corner of Maple and Fifth. Similar words, public phone, telephone booth. Extra example, when I was a child, we used a payphone at the train station because we didn't have a mobile phone. Disappeared, vanish, meaning to go away suddenly and no one knows where you are. Example, Mr. Linley had been reported missing in 2020. The police said he left his house, no note, no clues. I didn't disappear, I was taken. Similar words, vanish, go missing. Extra example, the magician made the rabbit vanish in front of the audience. It was very surprising. Coin, meaning a small flat piece of metal used as money. Example, he always paid with coins, always 3, always the same 3, a 10p, a 50p, and a pound. Similar words, money, currency. Note, currency is more formal. Extra example, she saved her coins in a jar to buy a new jacket. Envelope, meaning a flat paper container used to send letters or small things. Example, inside the coin slot was a tiny envelope, so small she almost missed it. Similar words, letter, packet. Extra example, he put the invitation in a white envelope and mailed it to his friend. Engraved, meaning to cut or carve words or pictures into a hard surface like metal or stone. Example, on the edge of the coin, barely visible, were tiny engraved letters L, D, 10, 28, 20. Similar words, carved, printed, but engraved means it's cut into the surface. Extra example, the wedding rings had their names engraved inside so they would always remember. Story written by Quen AI. Image created by onemin.ai. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a really cool modern mystery, one that was found in a place most of us have forgotten even exists. It's an incredible story about a quiet message left 5 years in the past, just waiting for the right person to come along and notice. So let's just jump right in. It all kicks off with this discovery. Imagine, it's a rainy Wednesday, November 2025, and you stumble upon this note. Talk about a message that instantly turns a totally normal day into the start of a real-life mystery. And the person who finds this note is a woman named Mrs. Ellis. She finds it in a place that, let's be honest, almost everyone else would just walk right by without a second glance. An old, rusty payphone, basically a ghost from another time. And yeah, for anyone maybe a bit younger, a payphone is a relic. It's from a time before we all carried supercomputers in our pockets. Back then, you needed actual physical coins to make a call, which seems almost quaint now. But as you're about to see, that little detail is the key to this entire story. Okay, so here's the full note. It's intense, it's secretive, and it gives one very strange, very specific clue. The third coin. So many questions, right? Who is L? And what in the world does the third coin even mean? To figure out this whole third coin business, we've got to tap into a memory that Mrs. Ellis has. We're going to rewind 5 years to a routine that was so predictable, it was practically invisible. You see, she remembers this quiet man, a Mr. Linley, and he had this ritual, like clockwork. Every single Thursday at 4:15 in the afternoon, he would show up at this exact payphone. And he always used the same 3 coins in the exact same order. It was a habit so precise, you could set your watch to it. But here's the thing. When Mrs. Ellis looks at the payphone in 2025, she doesn't find 3 coins. She finds just one, a single 1-pound coin sitting all by itself in the coin return. And that little detail, well, it doesn't match her memory. It's just odd enough to make her stop and think. And this is where it gets really interesting, because Mr. Lindley, he was officially reported missing way back in 2020. The police report basically said he just vanished. Poof. Walked out of his house one day, left no note, no clues, and was never seen again. A total cold case. So let's dig into the investigation. How on earth does this one little coin, a coin that's been overlooked for 5 long years, suddenly hold the secret to the entire mystery? Well, that note is nagging at her, you know? So Mrs. Ellis goes back and inspects the machine a little closer, and that's when she finds it. Tucked away behind that single coin, wedged into the coin slot, is a teeny tiny envelope, and inside a photograph. And this photo, wow, this is the first huge break. It's Mr. Lindley, the guy who disappeared, and he's smiling on a park bench. But you gotta look closer. Look at the newspaper he's holding. The date is October 28, 2020, and the headline? It's absolutely chilling. Local man vanishes after a payphone call. So of course, Mrs. Ellis rushes all this to the police. But at first, they're kind of brushing her off. To them, this case is ice cold, a dead end they gave up on years ago. They think there's nothing left to find. But Mrs. Ellis insists. She explains the pattern, the routine she watched for years, and then you can just imagine the light bulb going off. The note said the answer was in the 3rd coin. His 3rd coin was always the 1-pound coin, the single coin she found. That is the 3rd coin. So now the officer's really listening. He takes the coin, gets it under a bright light, and examines it closely. And that's when he sees it. Carved right into the edge are these incredibly tiny letters, a message so small it's no wonder nobody saw it for 5 years. And just think about that for a second. This wasn't written in ink that could just wash away in the rain. This was engraved, physically cut into the metal. It was a message designed to survive, to last for years, just waiting for someone to find it. The code itself gets cracked pretty fast. LD has to be Lindley David, the missing man's full name. And the date, 10/28/20, well, that's October 28th, 2020, the exact day he was reported missing. But then the officer turns the coin over, and on the back, lightly scratched into the surface, are 2 simple words. And these 2 words, they solve the mystery and change absolutely everything. He wasn't taken. He's safe. So you see, this completely flips the script. This wasn't a kidnapping or some random tragic disappearance. No, this was a message, a carefully planned puzzle, like a message in a bottle sent across 5 years, left for someone observant enough to finally put the pieces together. Now that the police have this huge lead, they're back in action. The case is officially reopened. And wouldn't you know it, just a couple of days later, the trail leads them to a forgotten locker in a bus station. And inside, they find the final pieces of the puzzle. The letter inside confirms everything. He had to fake his own disappearance to get away from something dangerous. But the most incredible part is that he left this coded message not for the police, but for a quiet observer like Mrs. Ellis, the one person he was counting on to remember his routine. So with that letter, the case is finally solved. But that's not quite where our story ends. Because this brings us to this really beautiful, poignant conclusion, where one person's weekly ritual ends and a new one begins. It's amazing how it all comes full circle. Mr. Lindley's ritual was his final message to the world. And now Mrs. Ellis has a ritual of her own. Every Thursday, she goes to that same payphone and leaves a single coin. It's like the legacy of quiet communication, of just paying attention, is being passed on. This story is just such a powerful reminder, isn't it? That the most important messages aren't always the loudest. Sometimes they're hidden in the quiet details of our daily lives, just waiting for someone to notice. It really makes you stop and wonder, what crucial details are hiding in plain sight all around us, right now?